What happens when the man you married turns out to be someone you never really knew? When the gentle father tying his daughter's shoelaces was once trained to end lives with his bare hands? Today's story will show you that the quietest people sometimes carry the loudest secrets. Stay until the end to discover how one woman's perfect marriage shattered and rebuilt itself in a single heartbeat. And please, hit that like button and comment with your city name so I can see how far this story travels across the world. The morning Isabella Kane would later divide her life into before and after began with cappuccino foam and her daughter's laughter. Not her daughter. Not biologically. Lily was Ethan's, 9 years old, gap-toothed, with braids that never stayed neat no matter how carefully Ethan worked them each morning. But after 2 years of marriage, Isabella had stopped making the distinction in her head. Lily was hers in every way that mattered. They were walking through the Cathedral District, that gleaming heart of the city where steel and glass towers reached toward a sky so blue it looked computer-generated. It was 8:47 a.m. on a Thursday in early October, and the air carried that particular urban autumn smell. Coffee, exhaust, the sweet decay of leaves struggling to survive in sidewalk planters. Isabella checked her phone for the third time in as many minutes. Her design firm, Kane & Associates, was presenting to the Riverside Development Commission at 10. 18 months of work compressed into a 90-minute pitch. Her assistant had texted twice already. Board members arriving early. Should we start setup? You're doing the thing, Ethan said beside her. Isabella looked up. What thing? The thing where your shoulders creep up to your ears and you forget to breathe. His voice carried that particular gentle amusement that had first caught her attention 3 years ago at a community garden fundraiser. He'd been kneeling in dirt, teaching Lily the difference between weeds and wildflowers, and something about the patience in his hands had made Isabella stop and stare. She forced her shoulders down. I'm breathing fine. Mommy Isabella is nervous, Lily announced, swinging between them, one small hand in each of theirs. Her presentation is today. She's going to show important people how to make the waterfront pretty again. Not just pretty, Isabella corrected automatically. Sustainable, accessible, a public space that serves the whole community, not just... She stopped, caught herself. Even now, even with a 9-year-old, she couldn't help slipping into pitch mode. Ethan squeezed her hand. You're going to be brilliant. You always are. It was such an Ethan thing to say. Supportive without being effusive. Steady, solid. These were the words Isabella used when friends asked about her husband. He's just steady, she'd say, and they'd nod like they understood, but she could see the faint disappointment in their eyes. Steady wasn't sexy. Steady wasn't the story you told at dinner parties. Isabella had made peace with that. Her first marriage, to Marcus, another architect, all flash and ambition, had been exciting right up until it imploded spectacularly. Ethan was different. Ethan was safe. He worked from home, managing some kind of security consulting business that Isabella only vaguely understood. Something about risk assessment for corporate clients. He never talked about it much, and she'd never pressed. What mattered was that he was always there, for Lily's school pickups, for the parent-teacher conferences, for the quiet machinery of daily life that kept their world turning. Can we get croissants? Lily asked, pointing at the French bakery on the corner. Please, the chocolate ones? We already had breakfast, Ethan said. That was toast. Toast doesn't count. Toast absolutely counts. Does toast have chocolate in it? That's a philosophical question I'm not equipped to answer before 9 a.m. Isabella smiled despite her nerves. This was her life now. This gentle banter. This uncomplicated sweetness. After the chaos of Marcus, the affairs, the accusations, the lawyer bills that had nearly bankrupted her, she'd rebuilt herself carefully. Her company, her reputation, her heart. And she'd chosen carefully too. Ethan wasn't flashy, but he was present. He wasn't ambitious, but he was devoted. He'd never ask her to be smaller so he could feel bigger. They crossed at the intersection where 7th Avenue met Merchant Street. The morning rush was building, suits and briefcases, delivery trucks double-parked, a street musician tuning his guitar near the subway entrance. The city breathing itself awake. That's when Isabella noticed the delivery truck. It was a big one, 18-wheeler, backed up to the loading dock of a commercial building. Nothing unusual, Except the driver seemed agitated, gesturing wildly to someone Isabella couldn't see. The truck was at an odd angle, its rear wheels too close to the curb. She registered this the way you register background details in a familiar place, peripherally, without real attention. Then everything happened at once. The truck lurched forward, not smoothly, violently, as if the driver had lost control. The mechanical scream of gears grinding against each other cut through the morning sounds. The truck jackknifed, its trailer swinging wide across 2 lanes of traffic. Cars screeched, horns blared. A taxi swerved and clipped a parked sedan, airbags deploying with sounds like gunshots. The truck's cab mounted the curb, 30 feet ahead of them, right in front of this cafe with outdoor seating, where a dozen people sat with their lattes and laptops, completely unaware. Time did that strange thing where it both compressed and expanded. Isabella saw it all in crystalline detail. The expressions changing on people's faces, fear blooming like flowers and fast forward. Saw a woman in yoga pants freeze with her phone halfway to her ear. Saw a businessman drop his briefcase, papers exploding into the air like startled birds. The truck's momentum carried it toward a steel light pole. The impact, when it came, was enormous. The pole bent, then snapped. The truck's cab crumpled. Glass burst outward in a glittering cascade. Someone screamed. Then everyone screamed. Smoke began pouring from the truck's engine, not thick yet, but growing. The chemical smell of burning oil and heated metal filled the air. Isabella's hand tightened reflexively on Lily's. Her first instinct, her only instinct, was to pull the child away, to shield her, to run. But Ethan had already moved. She didn't see him decide. There was no hesitation, no moment of deliberation. 1 second he was beside her holding Lily's other hand. The next, he was in motion. "Stay here." His voice cut through the chaos. Not loud, not panicked, but carrying a weight of command that made Isabella freeze in place. "Both of you, don't move." Then he was running, not the way people run in emergencies, all flailing limbs and adrenaline. He moved like water, smooth and purposeful, eating up the distance between them and the wreckage in seconds that felt impossible. Isabella watched, Lily's hand gripped in hers as Ethan reached the truck. The driver was slumped over the wheel, unconscious or worse. Ethan didn't try the door. He glanced at it, seemed to instantly assess that it was jammed, and instead grabbed the side mirror, using it to hoist himself up onto the running board. His movements were economical, practiced, like he'd done this before, many times before. The smoke was thickening. Someone shouted, "Fire!" and the crowd's panic ratcheted up another notch. Ethan broke the driver's window with his elbow, one sharp strike, efficient, and reached inside. Isabella couldn't see what he was doing, but she saw his shoulders shift, saw him brace his legs. A few seconds later, the driver's door opened from the inside. Ethan pulled the man out. He was twice Ethan's size, easily 250 pounds, but Ethan handled the dead weight like it was nothing, getting him into a fireman's carry and moving away from the truck in that same liquid, purposeful way. He laid the driver on the sidewalk, checked his pulse, tilted his head back to open the airway. Every movement precise. Medical, professional. Who is this person? The thought flashed through Isabella's mind, sudden and disorienting. Who the hell is this person? But there was no time to process it, because that's when the man with the gun appeared. He came stumbling out from behind the truck's trailer, a guy in his 20s, thin, wild-eyed, with the jerky movements of someone running on pure panic and possibly drugs. He was clutching something metallic. Isabella's brain needed a second to process what she was seeing. A gun. He had a gun. "Stay back," the man shouted, waving the weapon at the crowd. His voice cracked on the words. "All of you, stay the fuck back." People scattered. The yoga pants woman threw herself behind a planter. The businessman dove through the cafe door. Screams turned to shrieks. Isabella's whole body went cold. Her hand clamped down on Lily's so hard the girl gasped. "Ethan," Isabella whispered. But he was 30 feet away, kneeling beside the unconscious truck driver, directly in the armed man's line of sight. Ethan rose slowly. His hands came up, palms out, empty, unthreatening. But something about his posture had changed. The gentleness was gone. What remained was something else, something that made the air around him seem to sharpen. "Hey!" Ethan's voice was calm, almost conversational. "Hey man, you're okay. Nobody's going to hurt you." "Shut up!" The gunman swung the weapon toward Ethan. I said, shut up. I hear you. Ethan took a step forward, not aggressive, almost casual. I hear you. What's your name? Don't come closer. I won't. But Ethan took another step anyway, somehow making it seem like he wasn't moving at all, like the distance was just closing naturally. Is this your truck? No, I don't. The man's face crumpled. I don't know what happened. I don't know. The brakes, I couldn't. That must have been terrifying. It was. The gun wavered. I tried to stop. I swear I tried, but I believe you. Another step. Ethan was maybe 15 feet away now, still in the danger zone, still close enough that if the gun went off, Isabella couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Beside her, Lily had gone absolutely still, the way children do when their instincts tell them that movement equals danger. The driver, the gunman said, his voice hitching. Did I kill him? He's breathing, Ethan said. You didn't kill anyone. But the police are coming, and when they get here, I need you to have put that gun down. Can you do that for me? I didn't mean... Tears were streaming down the man's face now. I swear I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I know. Ethan was 10 feet away. Close enough that Isabella could see his expression now. It was gentle again. Impossibly gentle, given that he was walking toward a loaded weapon. I know you didn't. That's why you're going to put the gun down. That's why this is going to be okay. They'll arrest me. Probably, Ethan agreed. But if you put the gun down right now before they get here, that's going to matter. That's going to show them you're not trying to hurt anyone. Can you do that? The man's hand was shaking so badly the gun rattled. I'm scared. Me too, Ethan lied. Because Isabella could see now that he wasn't scared at all. His breathing was even. His hands were steady. Whatever he was feeling, fear wasn't part of it. Put it down, Ethan said softly. Right there on the ground. Nice and easy, and then we're going to wait together until help arrives. Yeah? For a moment, Isabella thought it wasn't going to work. The man's finger was on the trigger. His eyes were fever bright and unfocused. One wrong word, one sudden movement, and the gun clattered to the pavement. The man's knees buckled. He dropped, hands covering his face, sobbing. Ethan kicked the weapon away in one smooth motion, then knelt beside the man, talking to him in that same low, calm voice. Isabella couldn't hear the words anymore over the sirens. 3 police cars screaming around the corner, ambulance right behind them. But she could see Ethan's face, could see the absolute control in every line of his body. And she realized she was looking at a stranger. The next 20 minutes passed in a blur of flashing lights and official voices and Lily's death grip on Isabella's leg. Police swarmed the scene. EMTs loaded the truck driver onto a stretcher, conscious now, dazed but alive. The gunman was cuffed and led away, still crying. An officer approached Ethan and Isabella waited for the interrogation, the questions, the suspicion that usually followed this kind of chaos. Instead, the officer shook Ethan's hand. They spoke for maybe 2 minutes. The officer took notes, nodded seriously, then actually clapped Ethan on the shoulder before walking away. Like they were colleagues, like Ethan had done something routine instead of something insane. When Ethan finally made his way back to Isabella and Lily, his shirt was torn at the shoulder and there was a smear of blood on his forearm, the truck driver's probably, but his expression was calm, apologetic even. Sorry about that, he said, like he'd just stepped away to take a phone call. Lily launched herself at him. You were so cool. Did you see him, Mommy Isabella? He climbed right up on the truck like Spider-Man and... Lily! Isabella's voice came out sharper than she intended. Give us a second, okay? The girl pulled back confused. But go stand over there, by the bakery window, where I can see you. Lily's face crumpled. That particular expression kids get when adults stop making sense. But she obeyed, trudging 10 feet away and pressing her nose to the glass. Isabella turned to Ethan. What the hell was that? He blinked. What was what? Don't. She was shaking now, the adrenaline catching up with her. Don't do that. Don't play it off like it was nothing. You ran toward a burning truck. You talked down an armed man. The police treated you like you were one of them. Ethan glanced away, jaw tight. I just helped. Anyone would have... No. Isabella cut him off. No, Ethan. Anyone would not have. Anyone would have run. Anyone would have called 911 and kept their family safe. But you, she gestured helplessly at the scene behind him. You moved like you've done this before. You moved like... She didn't know how to finish the sentence. Ethan was quiet for a long moment. Around them, the city was resuming its normal rhythms. The crowd dispersing, traffic being redirected, the everyday machinery of crisis management. When he finally looked at her, something in his eyes had changed. That wall he kept up, the one she'd always assumed was just natural reserve, had cracks in it now. Not here, he said quietly. Okay? I'll tell you everything, but not here. Not with Lily. Tonight, Isabella said. We're talking about this tonight. Okay? Don't. She caught his arm as he started to turn. Don't you dare try to dodge this. I'm not letting this go. Ethan looked down at her hand on his arm, then up at her face. Something passed between them, a recognition, maybe, an ending of some kind, or a beginning. I won't, he said. I promise. Isabella walked into the Riverside Development Commission meeting at 10:03 a.m., 3 minutes late, with her blouse buttoned wrong and her mind 1,000 miles from waterfront renewal. Her assistant, Marcy, shot her a concerned look. Are you okay? We heard there was an incident on 7th. I'm fine. Let's begin. She moved through the presentation on autopilot. Her body stood at the front of the conference room, clicking through slides about green spaces and pedestrian access and sustainable materials. Her mouth formed words about community engagement and environmental impact studies, but her mind kept replaying the moment Ethan walked toward that gun, the utter calm in his face, the practiced efficiency of his movements, the way the police officer had deferred to him, as if Ethan's authority in that situation was simply assumed. Who are you? She thought, staring at a slide about native plant species without really seeing it. Who the hell are you? Ms. Kane. One of the board members, Fitzgerald, the former city councilman who'd been skeptical of the project from day one, was frowning at her. I asked about your contingency budget for the sculpture installations. Isabella blinked, pulled herself back. Yes, sorry. Page 17 of the supplemental materials covers... She made it through. Barely. When the board members filed out 90 minutes later, she had no idea if the pitch had gone well or poorly. Marcy was saying something encouraging, but Isabella wasn't listening. Her phone buzzed, a text from Ethan. Picked Lily up early from school, told her we're having a special family dinner tonight. Chinese takeout, she requested. Isabella stared at the message. Even now, in the middle of whatever earthquake was happening to their marriage, Ethan was thinking about Lily's favorite food. She typed back,